Hey drummers, Garey Williams is back with another reaction and analysis video. In today's video we're going to be checking out Stewart Copeland. I love this drummer. He was one of my favorite drummers growing up, and this one's supposed to have a drum solo, so let's check it out. Here we go.
A founding member of the, as the drummer for the legendary rock band The Police. He is also composer of operas, ballets, and film soundtracks. This is his current solo CD. It's entitled Orchestrale. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Stewart Copeland.
Yes. Look at his right foot. Double bass. Yo! All right, I'm going to pause that a little bit. It's so great to see this guy play again. The album I listened to was Zenyatta Mendata. It had Don't Stand So Close to Me and some of those other kind of Police hits. I remember spending months listening to that album over and over and over and over, just tried to figure out how to play like this guy. I mean, he just had, I love the way Neil Peart described him. He plays simplistically, but with such gusto and such a fresh flavor. And when you study his background from where he came from, which was not the United States originally, he grew up around a lot of, I think, African rhythms and tons of reggae. And he would talk about certain tracks where the drummer sounded like, in his mind, soloing from count off to cut off, basically playing so many fills and riffing all the way through. And really was a big fan of the Police. Of course, they broke up eventually, and Sting went on to pursue his solo career, which is still going on to this day. I guess one of the contention issues between Stewart Copeland and Gordon Sumner, the bassist Sting for the Police, was Stewart would rush. He was excited. Back in those days, people did not work with metronomes and sequencers, and just like when you get excited, you might talk louder and talk faster. He would get excited and push the tempo. And he would comment on how he wished he had more time to record the material. Sting would often write material, and they'd run it down and then immediately go and record it. Now that's part of the beauty of the Stewart Copeland feel, I think, on those early Police recordings, was the spontaneity, the freshness, the newness, the excitement, the still developmental aspect of the music growing. Because he commented in some of the articles that I read as I followed his playing years ago that after they toured for a while and were able to perform this music that was obviously a hit by this time on their recordings, that he wished that he could re-record it, because by that time he'd refined his drumming parts and developed it. But I don't know that we would have liked it as well, because sometimes when it's so new, it's so fresh and exciting, and when it's sort of worked out and thought about, it becomes a little more formula and loses a certain kind of energy about it. So Obviously, he doesn't have problems with tempos, as you heard David Letterman explaining that he's a composer. He's got this solo album out, and the band's playing one of his compositions, I'm assuming, is that he worked a lot with sequencers and pre-recorded music, and so there was no more problems with tempo changes and those kinds of things. But the classic thing, he's got the octobonds up to the left. He messed around with that. His traditional grip is very different than a lot of drummers. I'm going to grab a drumstick here. The typical left-hand traditional grip would be held between the middle and the ring finger, and he holds it like this. And I didn't know this until I watched a Modern Drummer Festival video where they interviewed each other and he explained this. And I thought, well, that explains why his hand always looked a little bit different. But for some reason, I had missed that over the years. Of course, in today's world, there's so much more video of these performances. And with the Modern Drummer Festival, he revealed that. But anyways, he's always been a Paiste cymbal guy and a Tama drum guy and very high tuning on the snare. It was like a signature thing for him to crank the snare. He actually feels he gets more power playing with this hand position than he does match grip. He's talked about that for years. But very unique player. Definitely brought something new to the drumming community in terms of the way he plays the instrument. So let's listen to some more. Shuffle. Yo! They did it. Beautiful drum set. Lots of cymbals.
Great pleasure to see you again. Been a long time.
Oh, man.
This is the new collection of music, Orchestrale. That's Stewart Copeland, and that's it for Drum Solo Week #2. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.
Cool. That was so cool. It's cool that David Letterman did that, where he could feature these great drummers. God, it's so nice. We all get a chance to benefit from watching them play. Again, I'm pushing wrong buttons here. Sorry about that. Oh, I love that guy's playing. There's so much that we could get into about his playing, his earlier playing. I saw the Police in concert probably 4 or 5 times. And it was really, really cool. In fact, the first time I saw them, they were on the Ghost in the Machine tour and Spirits in the Material World. That's a very interesting feel. If you're not really used to that, you go, got, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, that keyboard part at the beginning of the song is offbeats, 1, 2, 4, or ands, 1 and 2 and 3. That's why when he comes in, you kind of hear the. That's like what? I always thought it was on the downbeat, and then I had a former drum teacher kind of point out where the groove was, and it was like, oh, now I'm starting to understand this reggae vibe. And then I ended up getting a book by the Desi Jones called The Art of Reggae Drumming. It's no longer in print. And then there's some other books since then. But mainly I started asking other guys that were really into this style of drumming that I heard Stewart Copeland playing. And I had a friend of mine who was a drummer who put together a cassette tape of all this reggae stuff. So I just constantly listened to it until I could really absorb the kind of feel. And there's like the 1 drop, the 2 drop, and the steppers, and it's in a shuffle or a straight feel. And of course, I'm oversimplifying the whole reggae vibe. There's so much to it that's very interesting. But it had a very unique kind of feel, and Stewart had a very fresh kind of sound, and the way he tuned and played the drums was different. And so as I followed Sting's playing, I got more interested in Omar Hakim, and then a drummer that I really study, which I'll be doing a reaction video on, is Manu Katché, who was amazing. In fact, one of my favorite Sting tracks is Englishman in New York. And if you sit down and try to play that groove without study, you're probably not going to be very successful, is my guess. I certainly wasn't. But it's such a different kind of feel. Eventually I started to understand it, and it, actually transcribed the whole tune and ended up playing it because I wanted to get all the subtle hi-hat work done that Manu did. And his introduction to Sting was through Peter Gabriel. Anyways, another drummer I'll be talking about that's sort of in this legacy of these great reggae drummers I listen to. And there's other guys, obviously, going back to the early Bob Marley recordings. But reggae's got its own flavor, and it's awesome. And I really, really like it. And there's an aspect of it that's neat to be able to absorb into your palette of drumming styles if you're interested in learning how to branch out and be a multi-stylist. So I didn't really break down too much. The whole thing here is triplet bass. Even the solo was based upon triplets and all that kind of stuff. And then I love how he brought the band back in. But he plays with such, as Neil Peart would say, such gusto, such vigor, and such enthusiasm. And when he was in the concerts, he would play that very same way. And it was very fun to watch him. He's a very exciting performer. And just to see somebody attack the drums like that and play with, because he was really the guy that tuned things up higher than a lot of other drummers. And I think that's reminiscent of the reggae tuning. And anyway, so if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Share it with your friends. If you're interested in lessons, especially if you'd like to get into this whole reggae thing, man, I got some plans to help you really develop this if you'd like to. So get a hold of me. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next reaction and analysis video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.